she came over into my yard and tore up plants and beat on my back door and threatened me. I was chasing her out of my yard and trying to prevent additional property damage. I had delivered a note previous in the evening that clearly told her to stay off of my property and stay away from me.
Right here, we're here in cause 24S243. We have the plaintiff Jenny L. Kiriconi present. We have the defendant Chris Akerson present as well. We are here for trial. It looks like plaintiff is requesting reimbursement in the amount of $10,000 for injuries requiring hospital and theft of art display. So today we're going to let Ms. Kiriconi go first. She's going to give her side of the story. When she is done, I will then ask the defendant, Mr. Akerson, to go forward with his side of the story. I ask that both parties just speak to me, don't speak to each other, please. Hello, I just want to confirm before we begin, is there an active restraining order between the two of you? Okay, yeah. So I just ask then that you and Ms. Kiriconi please do not talk to each other during this proceeding. I understand we don't really have the ability to not be present in front of each other, but
I'm not afraid and I don't have anything to say to her. I have a question. Do you mind, Your Honor? Do I have to be here for that part to listen to her? Because I really don't want to even hear her voice.
No, you don't have to be present at all. When it's your husband's turn, if I'm correct, I'll just ask him to begin. He can take a brief second to call you in then, but you don't need to be present during this at all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Kiriconi, please begin with your statement.
Your Honor, I come before you today to ask for restitution for the injuries that were perpetrated onto me almost 2 years ago by the spousal equivalent of the defendant. Mr. Akerson has been aware for quite some time that he has severe mental health problems. She has been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which comes with things like the compulsion to lie and create havoc and such. He also knows that she is prone to violence and, in fact, is aware that I have seen Hightower act physically hostile toward the defendant. It was during a home visit in December of 2019 when she struck him with both a closed fist and an open palm. The plaintiff knew that helping Hightower by providing vegetable food, flowers, edibles from my garden during the summer of 23, when Ms. Hightower had up to 200 rabbits crowding her property. Come on. She came over while I was out of town and destroyed my bee and butterfly garden, which I had put a couple hundred hours in, removed flower to include hyacinth and crocus. She destroyed perennial plants and seeds that I had put in for the bees and butterflies. Anyway, when I found out that Hightower had destroyed, because I was very, very upset by it, she ran home screaming, and in the process went through my yard and pulled up flowers and foliage and threw it across my yard. I, being the person that I am, delivered a note to Hightower saying that she needed to stay away from me, stay off of my property, stay away from my garden and my pets. And with it, I delivered a bouquet of edible vegetable, Swiss chard, spinach, kale, mustard greens and such. And I note and the foliage for her rabbits on the back of her car. Approximately an hour and a half later, his partner, who he knew was upset with me and had the potential to be violent, he was coming over here. When she arrived, she pounded on my back door and the side of my house. She went through my yard again and pulled up signs and threw them down. She pulled an entire tree that I had started from a seed, a small ginkgo, out of the ground. She threw things in the seats. And if you will look at the evidence I have provided, you will see pictures of Hightower pointing to herself. There are police way in the background, but you can see foliage on the sidewalks and signs pulled up. She then into my front yard. I know because I went outside. I didn't know what the ruckus was. I noticed the signs pulled up. I noticed the foliage torn. I walked toward the front of my house. She was then in my front yard. She was reaching into the raised bed I have up there, and she screamed at me, "I'm going to kick your ass and put you in the hospital." I wanted to defend my property, Your Honor. So I went up into the yard so I could get a little stake to support my tree and to chase Hightower out of my yard. I out of the yard with a flimsy garden stake, and I smacked her once on her hip. She turned, grabbed the garden stake from me, proceeded to beat me about the head and face, struck my body, the stick broke, and then she attacked me. She attacked my face. She attacked my arms. She managed to get me into a headlock after directly punching me in the eye. Her friend came out because Dawn was screaming at the top of the lungs. She had never stopped screaming from the time she was at my back door. She had her forearm across my throat. Her friend had grabbed me from behind and pinned my arms to my side. Dawn bit the top of my head, continued to punch my face, while Mr. Akerson stood there and did absolutely nothing. If you will look at this he provided, he says that he broke up the fight, which is not true. He never touched her. He never stepped between us. He did absolutely nothing to stop her from hitting me over and over and over again while I was defending. He made false statements saying that I started it when he was not even present at my back door when she assaulted it. The woman who held me, Ms. Hightower's best friend, came from all the way in her backyard, close to 150 feet away, to restrain me so that Hightower continued to beat up on me until the police arrived. In the statement of that woman, which Mr. Akerson provided, she says that she waited with Hightower until the police arrived. She never let go of me, and Dawn never quit hitting me until the police were on site. At the time, I ran away. It triggered another PT episode for me. I'm a disabled veteran. And then, this last October, Mr. Akerson, in full view of me, I don't know how many times before, I don't know how many times she's done it before, but he came over on that day and stole yard signs. My displays. He had no right to come onto my property and take anything. Everything I had on my yard is by the First Amendment. It says that I can post opinions, beliefs, suppositions, facts, and art in the broadest sense. However, none of those signs went up there at all until after I won my small claims case against Ms. Hightower for in September of 2023. And she
Ms.
has
Caraconi, Ms. Caraconi, please provide me that case number.
23 Sierra 126. It has moved to Superior Court and is now 2420127308. The judge awarded 9% interest, and as of today, she owes $11,461.19. Been $530 since the judgment. They have conspired to move assets into Mr. Akerson's. So, to get the restitution that I deserve and have been awarded, I have chosen to go against Mr. Akerson because he has an obligation when he knows his spouse is mentally ill and violent and could potentially do violence to someone to warn that. He did nothing to warn me. He did nothing to prevent her in a hospital for 10 days. After I received the documents that Mr. Akerson provided, I thought you should have some supplementary documents, Your Honor, to prove that I was in the hospital for 10 days, that I was given CT scans of my head, my neck, my face, my jaw, because of how badly beaten I was by his partner. And he could have done something to prevent it, and he chose not to. Then he lied on his police statements, and he has continued to protect her. And here are some of the lies that knows that she has made against me. That I am not disabled. That I tried to seduce her husband. That I carry knives or scissors for protection. That I have been naked in the street. That I have yelled at cars about Hightower. That she does not owe me the $11,000 plus. That she has not stolen from me. That I have an alcohol problem. That I lied to the judge in the small claims case that I was awarded. She has also said that she has nerve damage from a minor wound, and she has never provided any evidence. She keeps saying disabled, has never provided any evidence. She made accusations of sexual assault against a male acquaintance on social media. She stated in her...
That's nothing to do with the case. This Kira, please stay to what we're trying to get reimbursement for.
Pardon?
Are you still testifying, Ms. Kirikoni?
No, I thought I heard you ask a question, Your Honor. So
yeah, I said, could you please just stay to the matter at hand, which is specifically injuries requiring hospitalization and theft of an art display. If we could just stay on topic with what you're requesting, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I'm just what she has said. Okay. And now these lies are showing up on police reports. I do not carry knives and scissors, but because of her lies, this has showed up in a police report. I am not dangerous. I defended myself in a reasonable manner, which I have the right to do. She was attacking my property and she threatened to attack me. I defended myself in a reasonable manner, which I have the right to do. My injuries put me in the hospital for 10 days. I am still dealing with the consequences because of the triggering of PTSD. It's very difficult to be autistic and have PTSD as well. And it's been a challenge living here the last 2 years with her harassing me. And I need money so I can get out of here and away from all of that. So, Your Honor, I ask that you award me the $10,000 because although it's claimed that the signs were returned, they have never been in my yard. They were removed either that same or something, but they were not here when I got back to my home. Thank you. Oh, do you want to speak? I have a witness.
Yes, I'm gonna ask you some questions. So First and foremost, what were these yard displays?
There was a sign that said, something about strong standing. I'm still standing. There were signs that said, I enjoy watching the dawn breaking because I'm a fan of pig racing and not roller derby, box derby. Well, I enjoy watching the losers fail. So I had one up there that said, I enjoy watching losers fail. I had signs up that said things about, I am afraid of my neighbor, which is true. I put up beliefs. I put up statements about what happened to me. There it is. I'm still standing. Yeah, I'm still tenacious, alive, nice, decent, inventive. Yeah, a nature lover.
Did these signs also include, I believe Dawn Hightower is the worst Longview, Washington resident now living. Find the self-professed person with antisocial personality disorder at 361 18th Avenue.
There may have been one like that, yeah. And I believe that is also covered by the First Amendment, which says that I can
Not
state.
covered by the First Amendment when people's privacy rights are put out on display, as well as harm can come their way. Your First Amendment does not apply to that. Did you also put a sign up that said retribution cometh?
No. I do not know anything about that sign. I don't know where it came from. I have no knowledge about that
I
sign.
believe Dawn Hightower wants me dead. Was this another sign that you put up?
Yes, well, she did try to choke me to her honor when she
Okay.
attacking me.
Not paying your court-ordered 10K judgment plus 9% plus your choice to not use mediation. Your debt goes to a collection agency. Bad decision, Baldy.
I have friends who find the term baldy affectionate, and it doesn't state anyone's personal name. And so, if somebody wants to take it personally, that is up to them. But not paying court-ordered judgment can result in collection agencies and court cases, small claims judge. It can result in having property. Take
361 18th owes me money.
Pardon me.
Property owner of 361 18th owes me money. Is this also one of the signs that
Yes.
you're seeking?
So a true statement. I can state facts according to my First Amendment rights.
You cannot state facts that put others' individual privacy rights at issue. Okay. Where in here are the hospital bills totaling $9,000, please? Can you show me that exhibit?
No, I do not have a hospital bill for $9,000 to show you. I didn't know that I would be required one. I thought that showing you the entry and exit dates and the pictures and the documents for these scans and such would be adequate.
Just want to confirm this happened on 6/15/2023, correct?
This is correct.
Okay, because the only patient report I have actually comes from respondents' exhibits that you are aware of that says that you were brought into the emergency department, that you were under the influence, and that you were brought in for an involuntary treatment act criteria, danger to self and others. Because this is from the law enforcement patient report. Jenny placed several items in someone's vehicle and assaulted the owner of the vehicle. Jenny attacked the owner, causing others to assist in stopping Jenny. This is the only patient report I have.
Jenny was not under the influence. The toxicology report from the hospital has been provided to you, and you will see that it is negative.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, so is this from that same event?
That is correct. And
okay.
she attacked my property and me. I was defending myself. Now,
Okay, Right.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, go ahead. Okay, do you have, and your testimony was that you hit her on the hip with a stake?
it's a very flimsy plant stake. They're about less than half an inch in diameter, and it
They're
broke.
over half an inch and they're made out of
I'm
steel.
sorry, Mr. Akerson, it's not your time to speak yet, but I will let you speak, I promise. So it's your testimony that you hit her on the hip with a stake, and that's what started this
What started
incident.
that she came over into my yard and tore up plants and beat on my back door and threatened me. I was chasing her out of my yard and trying to prevent additional property damage. I had delivered a note previous in the evening that clearly told her to stay off of my property and stay away from me. She
My
violated.
question is, again, Ms. Caraconi, though, is I understand what you said and I heard that. I'm saying the first time when anybody's personal body got touched was when you hit her with a stake.
I don't know.
Right. Do you have any additional testimony or any witnesses to testify on your behalf?
The only person I have here to testify on my behalf is a person who can testify that they have also been threatened by Ms. Hightower and have seen Mr. Akerson hit by Ms. Hightower, and to back up the statements that she's basically dangerous.
Okay, who's the individual?
Her name is Arliss McCall.
And what connection does she have to this matter? Where does she live?
She lives in the neighborhood.
Where does she live in the neighborhood?
I live across the street in a house over. I deal with
Yeah.
dogs.
All right, 1 second. If you want to testify, please come forward.
I didn't know I had to.
Yeah, you have to testify. You have to put your right hand up. This is going to be on the record. Everyone's going to be able to look at you and hear this. So, okay, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth during this proceeding?
I do.
There you are. Thank you. What testimony do you have that would contribute to the $9,000 injuries being requested by Ms. Curaconi, or the theft of an art display?
Well, my comments are in regards to Dawn's behavior and what I've seen her do and what I went through dealing with this woman.
Go ahead. Please stay in the camera and go ahead and testify.
Well, it was pleasant, I put it mildly. And I asked her, like she did, to leave me alone, but she would come back and always with another problem with these rabbits. And I finally had enough, and I've just been avoiding her. It's terrible to have to avoid people that aren't all there. It was
All
bad.
right. Ms. McCall, this is a case against Mr. Akerson, though. This has nothing to do with Dawn right now. So this is against Mr. Akerson. Do you have anything to say against Mr. Akerson?
Not against him, no, but I have seen her hit him. So
Okay.
just pushed it off like it happened before. That's
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else to testify about, ma'am?
no, I just didn't want no more trouble from her
Okay.
or
All
whatever.
right. Okay. Well, thank you for your testimony. Ms. Curaconi, do you have anything additional?
Just looking through everything, Your Honor, make sure that everything has been covered. I believe I've covered everything, Your Honor.
Thank you. I guess my last question to you, Ms. Curaconi, is how did you come up with the $1,000 valuation for your signs?
The time to gather the money to purchase materials, the time it took to go and purchase the materials, the time it took to make the signs, the time it took to arrange the signs, and the intrinsic value of the art itself, especially my sign that said, I enjoy watching the dawn breaking. I do. I get up before sunrise every morning, and it is my favorite time of the day. They meant a lot to me, though.
What I'm asking is, was the sign, which is interesting that Dawn is the same first name as the individual in question right now. Was that up before the small claims trial happened?
I don't know. I don't know exactly, Your Honor. But it's possible.
And where in your exhibits are, I guess, just the itemized reports of how much all these materials cost?
I did not believe I would have to provide receipts, Your Honor. That could be possible, though. If you would like me to.
No, because you were supposed to have submitted your exhibits already. So everything that's been submitted is everything right there is. So let me understand this. You were awarded a $10,000 default judgment in September of 2023. You have not received any money from defendant Hightower in that matter. And now you're just trying to sue her husband for the money that you have not received from her?
Well, this is a community property state, and he did absolutely nothing to prevent this when he could have, when he was legally obligated to. A person knows that their spouse is violent and has the potential to do violence onto someone else, and they have the chance to prevent it. They have a duty to do so. He failed to.
I know everything about the duty to act, and the duty to act revolves around personal property when someone is on their own property and they have to report to them whether there is something that could cause injury or whether someone is trying to save someone from a situation and in turn causes more injury to them during their duty of action. In this situation, you have stated that they were on your property when this occurred.
No, it was out in the street by this time, Your Honor. It was in public.
That's nobody's property then, that's public property.
Right. And he still had an obligation to prevent her from beating my face in when he could have, because he knows that she is dangerous. He knows because she hits him. He is a battered husband. And
ma'am, we're not going to do any character insults at this time. We're just here for the facts of the matter. So thank you for your testimony. I've received everything I needed from you. At this point, we're going to go ahead and let the defendant take his turn. So Mr. Akerson, if you could please raise your right hand. Thank you, sir. Please go ahead with your testimony.
Well, the first thing is that she's suing me for body injuries, which I wasn't involved in the fight, first of all. Second of all, I know it was hard for me to contain not speaking when she was talking because she's lying, and it's frustrating. This flimsy little plant stake she's talking about is a 1/2-inch metal rebar covered with plastic. It's a plant, it's like a tree stake. It's a hard object. So anyway, the fight was in her yard. Not in the street, Jenny, in your yard, but you don't remember that.
Ms. Akerson, Mr. Akerson, please just speak to me so we don't have any issues.
Okay. At any rate, yes. When I went out, you got to remember, these signs are pointed at my house. They're not pointed on Beach Street. They're pointed at my house. And I've been looking at these signs every day for months on end. And I got just so frustrated that Jenny was out there. So I just went out there and I grabbed them. And she says, "These are my signs. You can't have them." And I said, "Why are you so mean?" To her. And she didn't reply back. And she says, "Give me back my signs." I says, "No, I'm taking them. I don't like you, displaying this stuff anymore." So I took them. And yes, she called the police. Officer Slate came over and knocked on my door and he said, "Did you take Jenny's sign?" I said, "Yes, I did, but I don't think she, you have to understand where I'm coming from. This doesn't seem right that she can post these signs in her yard. It's upsetting. It's upsetting to me. It's upsetting to my wife, and I don't think she should be doing this." And he says, "Well, it's out of my hands," he said. I said, "Well, fine. They're in my truck. I'll get them for you." So I grabbed it, I gave him the signs. He went over there and placed them in her yard. Later on, she got arrested. So, and now she's saying I took her signs. Yes, initially, but if you can check with Officer Slate, he took them back. And in fact, he knocked on her door and I heard, she didn't come to the door. And Officer Slate says, "Jenny, your signs are in your yard." And that was it. And then lo and behold, 2 hours go by. Next thing I know, we've got 5, 6, 7 cop cars surrounding her house and she's locked inside. She's not coming out. And then, I think finally around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, she finally came out. She was hiding underneath their house and she came out. But I did not touch Jenny. Yes, I went out there. My intention was to go out there and break up the fight, to be honest with you. But when I got out there, I wasn't quite sure where to go because Jenny had her mouth on my wife's arm. And then a neighbor, Autumn, she came over and held her. They broke the fight up and Jenny went inside the house. That was 2 years ago. But, you want me to go into that? I can. That whole incident started because, we just pulled some weeds for her as a favor because she wasn't feeling well. And these are slow partition between the road and the sidewalk is I don't even know what they call that, but there's a little area there where she had some plants and stuff. And we just pulled the weeds. We didn't pull her plants. None of the stuff she was talking about, whatever plants there were, we just pulled the weeds. And she took offense to that. So she went and grabbed, when she found out that we did it, she was upset. So she voiced her opinion to Don. Don wrote her a little note, like one of those gift card type note stuff, and just said, "I'm so sorry that that this offended you. We were just trying to be nice, but she took offense to it. So we're sorry." Well, she didn't like that because I was doing dishes, and next thing I know, I see her come in and she grabbed all this dirt and weeds up and threw them. I have a convertible, top was down. She just threw them in the back seat of the car, all the dirt and everything. I said to my wife, "Well, I guess she liked that apology because that was her reply." And so, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. How come I can't hear you?
Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you now. Did you hear anything I just said?
Yes, I did. I heard everything.
Oh,
My microphone has been glitching. I apologize. So hopefully you can hear me. I'll just speak into it. So I guess my first question is, the attack happened in Miss Kirikoni's yard?
Yeah.
Okay. And this happened between you or between Miss Kirikoni and your wife, right?
Yeah.
And then you were involved later to try to break it up, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. And then did you testified that the signs were returned, correct?
Yes. Yes. Well, Jenny even admitted that.
There's one out there.
I think, do you have any other testimony? I think that's sufficient. Do you have anything else?
I don't know what I mean. I would. I don't know what to say. I just wish that Jenny would stop with the signs. It's so frustrating. Every day,
Are the
new
signs
sign.
still up, sir?
She puts signs up all the time. There's no sign right now, but this one sign that when we got up in the morning, went outside the front door, we saw that sign that said right in our yard, said retribution cometh.
Did you
Man.
call the police right away?
No, because we knew it was Jenny. And she's her signs again. Doing her little thing.
There is an active restraining order still available between both parties. And so if anything happens, you're able to call the sheriff's office and get another violation of a restraining order.
Yes.
Okay, just so you're aware.
Yeah, we are.
Every little thing you can call about.
Yeah, we are aware.
Okay. Because unfortunately, this is just monetary reimbursement in this situation, so I can't do anything non-monetary here, but I think I've heard everything I need. I don't want to cut you off though, sir. So if there's anything else that you wish to testify about or have your wife testify about as a witness, I don't want to cut you off. Please take all the time you need. Do you need anything else?
No, let me see if my wife wants to come in and say anything for a second.
Okay. Ms. Kiriconi, can you please stop moving around? It's disrespectful. I'm trying to focus on the defendant's testimony. Thank you.
Testify.
Hi. Hi, are you able to see me okay? Oh, we're muted, I think, honey.
You're not muted.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Thank you. Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. Please let me know if you can't hear me because my microphone is having issues today. So
Okay.
could you please raise your right hand? Right, okay, please begin with your testimony.
Well, unfortunately, I just got word that Arliss was on record, and I don't know what she has said, whether it be true or not. So I can't say anything about that and what she's told me, but what you need a witness. I mean, you want me to tell you what happened?
No, I don't need anything. It's just whether your husband wants you to testify or not. Today, it's specifically about Ms. Kiriconi requesting $9,000 back in injuries from your husband, though, not from you. And then asking for $1,000 back for theft of an art display. If you have anything that you want to say about that, feel free.
Yes, I certainly would. Will you stop clicking? I have anxiety. I have generalized anxiety disorder as well as major depression. And so since all this started with Jenny, all because she targeted me because I thought I was doing her a favor by weeding the community garden that was parked between her house and the street. In fact, excuse me?
It was Ms. Kiriconi. I will go ahead and mute her. Go ahead and keep going.
Thank you. Okay. This was late in the summer and the garden was over and she had planted the garden for the neighborhood. And I asked Chris actually helped me. We weeded it, but what we considered weeds and what Jenny's vision were apparently two different things. And then about a week later, she had been going really unsteady, a lot of mental instability that summer, where she was reported being naked, yelling, we've seen it all. It's all on record. But Jenny's reality isn't necessarily our reality. And at the time, I'm sure that Jenny, I can't prove it, but I'm sure that she was on drugs as well as not under a doctor's care for her own mental health issues.
I said this to Ms. Kiriconi, so I want to afford her the same respect too. Just please, no character comments
sure.
or something that
Okay.
are unsubstantiated, because I don't want this to become just nasty. I want it to
Oh,
just
yes. Oh, yes,
come
absolutely.
down to what it's
I'm
worth.
just trying to wrap it up. I'm just really nervous because I don't know if my husband told you that we're moving as we speak. We're moving. Our house is closed. And the reason why I'm moving and getting out of here and we lost money on the sale of our home is because of Jenny's harassment, bullying, and characterization against me and my husband. And we have done absolutely nothing wrong to warrant any of her behavior. And I will take it up with the courts later about what I have to say about my issues with Jenny.
Place your exhibits down. Thank you.
But my husband, as you can see, he's not a big man or evil man. He's a kind man. And he's not really fast either, as you can see. He's near 60, 70. And by the time the assault was in progress over there on Jenny's property, I was hollering for somebody to help me and to call the police. And my neighbor next door, Autumn, which had already submitted a witness statement in a prior case, because Jenny tried to sue her as well. And it was thrown out of court because there's no basis for it. So she was already ran over to help me as Mrs. Kiriconi had her mouth on my arm so drastically that there's nerve damage, and I had to go to the emergency room, have it attended to, and then tetanus and antibiotics and the whole bit. But Autumn had already came over to help get her off my arm, which I had her in a headlock and she had my arm. So I couldn't let her go while she has my arm because I was actually concerned about the bite and how significant it would be if I allowed her to pull away from me. So Autumn had already ran over, hearing me, to intersect. And Autumn isn't a little girl like myself, 5'2" and 125 pounds. Autumn helped get her off. And at that point, as soon as she let up, and maybe a minute after Autumn was trying to restrain her, and Jenny's just, they somehow Autumn let go and Jenny ran in the house and she hid in her attic underneath stuff to disguise. And that was the police ordeal. That was the waste of our taxes because she wants to play drama queen and then blame it on everybody else. That's what happened, in my opinion. But Chris had nothing to do with it. He isn't always aware. He's hard of hearing. He can't hear me if I'm in the same room. So by the time he realizes what's going on, whether it be, like, oh my goodness, is this really happening? Autumn had already stepped in to help me. And in the bottom line, he had nothing to do with it. He wasn't he had nothing. He himself was traumatized by the whole thing. And I am too. It's been a long while now. And ever since we weeded her garden thinking we were helping her to lighten her load, because I knew she was going through a lot because she kept getting herself in trouble and displaying ridiculous behavior and threatening the neighborhood. He had nothing to do with it. He would never hurt Jenny in any way. He would help me if I needed it, but it certainly wouldn't be in any violent way. And what I'd like to say is I think it's really important. Within a week and a half of us weeding the garden, because Jenny went into the hospital because apparently she was dying or something, she came over and handed us a note. And unfortunately, I didn't know this was all going to come down. So I didn't know I needed to save that note. But that note read to Chris and I that she delivered that she requested our company on a certain date, I don't remember the date, like a Thursday, at between 4:45 and 6, kind of a thing, like very precise. And we didn't know what it was about. And she said in the letter, I think it's something that you guys could relate to or something of that sort. So out of curiosity,
I shouldn't have, but I went over there, and I'm not kidding, not but 30 seconds later, her phone rings, because I go promptly. It was the first time that she'd written down within that short period of window. Chris didn't want anything to do with it. So her phone rings, and no other than end up being her therapist, or a therapist for her mental health. And I could tell that she was expecting the call. And so what I do is I politely sit and wait. And then within 10 minutes, as Jenny is going through all this drama on the phone with her therapist, I'm sitting there trying to be supportive, because it looks to me like Jenny's having kind of a mental breakdown and she needed some extra support. I don't know. Why would I be over there? I have no idea why she invited me. But nonetheless, she did. And I went over there by myself, and I was sitting on the floor in her front room. She was up against the window. She was going on about her white silver, which is her man, and how he's being abused or being controlled by his mom. And there's a child being abused, or whatever, all that drama. And then she gets to the part of the conversation where she complains about the city, because the city has been coming down on her for who knows what, I don't know. And how whenever she was gone, how they had come in and swept clean half of her garden, which is public property that we're talking about, between beach and her house on 16th. And I said, no. I said, Jenny, while she was on the phone, I interrupted. I said, Jenny, I said, no, honey, I did that. In that tone. I said, no, Jenny, I did that. I did that. Chris and I did that to help you. Mind you, we actually had already, oh no, that was later. Okay. We actually spent hours picking off these pods so that it was a whole basket full of these pods off this plant so that we could let her grow whatever it is that she was growing. And Jenny had given me permission to get whatever out of the garden for my rabbits. And there wasn't much left. It was, it wasn't like a vegetable garden. It looked like weeds.
Sorry, could I just interrupt? This garden in question is just a community garden. It's not,
That's what
it doesn't
she told
belong
me.
to you. It doesn't belong
Nope,
to the plaintiff.
Nope, she planted it, but it's on public property. It's between the sidewalk and beach on 18th. And she lives on the corner. And that's where all this started. And so she's on the phone having whatever it is that's going on. And I'm not sure why I'm there, but now that I'm here sitting on her floor, I'm just going to be supportive, and be supportive and loving, like I would want if I was having a really mentally needing to talk to my therapist. I'm not saying I've ever done that, but she's on the floor having it out with her therapist. And once I said, no, Jenny, I did that. Chris and I did that. And it was only half of the space that she had, which is not very big. And we spent hours. Something came over her, and something came over her. Everything from her eyes to her facial expressions, her demeanor, her speech, everything was like something clicked, and she got really, her energy changed really hostile. And her therapist is on the phone, and her therapist knows that I'm there, because I said to Jenny, Jenny, let this person know that I'm here. And so I'm here, as a support person. I'm here now, and so I'm pretty sure her therapist maybe even heard me in the background. I don't think Jenny said anything. But something happened. Something came over her, and in her mind, in Jenny's mind, she's like, she was going to get revenge, because she was already going to get revenge on the city for doing it. She was already pissed off, ranting and raving about it. And I said, no, sweetheart, we did that. She became hostile and aggressive, and and made me feel very uncomfortable. And I forget what words she said to me. Oh, that's right. She said, you wrecked, we're talking all this drama. We did, you destroyed my garden, whatever. And blah, blah. Evil, mad. And I said, Jenny, I'm sorry I offended you. I didn't mean to hurt you. But if you continue to talk to me like this, I'm going to have to go. And she started up again. And I said, I'm getting up now and I'm leaving because you're being hostile and I don't need this. And her therapist is on the phone with her. Okay. So I leave. And it's been on ever since with Jenny, and she's attacked me in many ways. But again, I can take that up with the courts later. And as far as anything in closing, if there's anything that Arliss has said in derogatory about me and my rabbits, you can get records from the Humane Society. You could find out what's up, all that. None of that. Oh, I can't hear you. Okay, has nothing to do. I can't.
I wouldn't worry about it. It has nothing to
Okay,
do.
good. Because it was all, I mean, I had to, I don't have nothing to do with that neighbor for my own reasons as well. So anyway, that's all I have to say. And this will not be the last time I will be in court and talk about Jenny, but I understand that this is Chris's hearing. So, oh yes, I do have to say this. I'm so glad I remembered. Maybe Chris, come here, honey. Maybe Chris had said this already, but in the documentation that Chris submitted to the courts for today was a transcript. I think it might be out here that Jenny, apparently it looked like she wrote while she was incarcerated the last time that she violated the restraining order against me. And what I want to bring to the court's attention is that on page 5, I believe, towards the end, she said,
I apologize. Could you just give me a second? I did see something in here. I just want to find it. I will say that I found it very hard to read. The writing was a little bit.
Yes,
so 1,
yes.
2,
Right.
3, 4. Okay, here's page 5. I have page 5 in front of me.
Do you see there someplace? Oh yeah. So towards the end of the page, I think it's on page 5, she says, oh, what I plan to do in the near future, which is like, okay. She says she's going to take care of some stuff with some other people, like give someone the key and do something with somebody else. Buy 2 long wigs, red and black.
Learn how to.
Honey, I got it. Learn how to pick lock. Oh yeah. Hide a bank card, close bank account, rent the house out, go to a motel, buy long wigs, red and black. Oh yeah. Get revenge on neighbor, and learn how to pick locks, learn how to dig a bunker, underground bunker, and lastly, oh yeah, and sue Chris and Dawn for the second time.
Yeah, I see it. It's actually on page 6. It says, get Joe the attorney info he needs, move to motel, hotel, park on temp, rent a room and put home bank card, security cams and light, U-Haul rent a space. I don't see anything about, I'm also going to take revenge on the neighbor.
Buy 2 wigs, learn how to pick locks, build an underground bunker or something about a bunker, buy 2 long rigs, red and black.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you.
And there was one other thing, but you see that. So obviously, before she even gets out of jail for violating the restraining order, she's already planning on getting revenge and suing us for the second time. She sued me first, and what happened is, because I have CPTSD for living my childhood being very traumatic, and it affects who I am today, so I can't handle all of this crazy drama because I had crazy drama, violent crap growing up, and I don't need it from my neighbor. For any reason, whether she be on drugs or have mental illness, there's no reason for this. There's no excuse, period, for no reason. But what happened is I went into a major depression because this spun out my PTSD. I was on lockdown, neighbors giving me shit about the rabbits. Jenny been harassing me, bullying me, threatening me. So I stayed in my house and I didn't leave my house. And I'm bald because of being sick. And whenever I'm sick, I don't have any hair. And she's even bullied me about that. So what happened is I got really depressed and I try to keep up with dates and things that are going on. I have a hard time just taking my vitamins on time. Only because of my, the chaos sometimes and helping Chris and, just living life. But I got depressed and I missed that court date by a day. And the day that she sued me in small claims, she lied under oath. Everything that she said in court there's no evidence of any of that. She was lying to the small claims court. She's the one that assaulted me. There was no proof or any documentation of any, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Your mic's still
Can you
out.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's just another case matter, so I apologize. I can't listen to that right now. All I will tell you though is that was a default judgment, so she would not have said anything in court that day. That was purely granted because you were not present. That is a situation where if you need that addressed, you just need to write correspondence to the judge.
Okay.
So,
okay, I'll deal with my
might-
matters with her later. Okay, thank you. And if that's everything, I appreciate your
yeah, that
time.
is it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna go calm now. I'm gonna go hang out with my rabbits. That's always peaceful. Thank you
Okay.
for your
All
time.
right. Thank you. All right, Ms. Quiriconi, so we've had testimony. If you want to make any short final statements, you can. Short and relating to what we're here for. I don't want any character attacks. I don't want any other additional information other than regarding to $9,000 of medical bills and $1,000 yard signs, please. If you could unmute your microphone, please.
There we go. I had trouble finding the button. It kept pointing to the top, but the button was on the bottom. Regarding this, yes, I never hit anyone with rebar. This is a representation of what I used. It's plastic covered aluminum. It is hollow and it is quite flimsy, as you can see.
That's what
It's
you
very
used to hit
It's
Ms.
not.
Hightower.
I doubt if you've even left a mark. However, I was being
Is that what
choked
you used to hit
death
Ms.
by
Hightower?
that. When I was only 8, when I had my arms pinned to my sides, the only thing I could do to defend myself was to turn my head to the side and bite. I couldn't defend myself in any other way. I was being choked and I needed to get air. So I bit the inside of her arm and there is no nerve damage. It barely broke the skin at all. There wasn't even any blood.
Thank you. Is that it?
Mr. Akerson did absolutely nothing to prevent his wife from beating the crap out of me. And he,
Okay. Are
much as
you
she,
done, Ms. Quiriconi?
thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. Can both parties hear me? Because I'm having a lot of troubles with this microphone.
Yeah, I hear you.
Barely. I'll try turning you all the way up.
So first and foremost, Ms. Quiriconi has made an argument about a duty to defend her, a duty to act. I believe we have sufficient testimony in this situation that Ms. Quiriconi was on her own property. Based on that information, there is no duty to act from the defendant. So I am just confused why Mr. Akerson was named in this matter at all, as he is not the individual who you had this altercation with. In addition, there is no documentation in here in the exhibits that show $9,000 worth of injuries requiring hospitalization. I do see pictures provided by Ms. Quiriconi that do show injuries to herself. However, I have not seen anything that provides a bill or estimate of any medical help. The only information that I have seen is from the defendant regarding the law enforcement information about the hospital stay. And once again, there is nothing on there except for an ITA information and no monetary value. So at this point, I'm going to deny the $9,000 medical claim because there is nothing that can substantiate that amount. And I don't think that Mr. Akerson is the correct party to be holding any weight in regards to that value. In regards to $1,000 theft of art display, we had testimony from both parties that those art pieces that seem to be addressed towards Miss Hightower were returned to the plaintiff's property. So it seems like there was no damage done to them and they were returned in their entirety by a police officer. In addition, there is no monetary itemization of how $1,000 was achieved. We did see testimony that it was based on supplies, time, value, intrinsic value, but there is nothing that shows even the supplies that were charged. So at this point, I'm going to deny the $1,000 for the art display as I have no way to quantify that value. Once, I guess in summation, I would also say that this seems to be the plaintiff's attempt to try to get $10,000 that was originally granted to her in a judgment from 2023 in case 23S126. I don't think that the correct way to try to get that money is trying to file another small claims claim against the husband of the defendant in that matter. As such, I'm going to deny the plaintiff's requested $10,000 against the defendant. And so no judgment is entered in favor of the plaintiff.